It's 2019. Two young businessmen, Sangeet Agarwal and Naveen Parwal, have this crazy idea to create a travel bag that blends elegance, premium quality, and luxury appeal. They create a prototype and take it to one of the largest players in the travel and bag industry. Now, this founder was in utter disbelief. He said, "Are you guys nuts? You guys will maximum make a revenue of 15 CR in your entire lifetime." Cut to 2024. This brand now makes 200 CR in revenue run rate. We're talking about none other than one of our favorite up and coming brands, Mokobara. Now, Mokobara has done three things right. One is disrupt a market ripe for innovation. Two, create a strong word of mouth with a very, very good product. And three, strategic campaigns and very good advertising to lead the sort of growth engine. So I think we could probably start with the whole luggage market and the market that Mokobara is trying to tap into. And I think, Rakshit, you're the expert here. Why don't you take it up?
Let's dive deep into the Indian luggage industry and let's understand who are the top players, who are they trying to target, and what are the channels that they are targeting as of now. So broadly, when you look at the Indian luggage industry, there are three players in the organized market segment, which essentially get almost 99% of the entire Indian luggage industry, right? And those three players are VIP, Samsonite, and Safari, which is a relatively new player, but is doing really well in this segment. Each of these three companies are doing north of 4,000 crores of revenue in India alone. On top of this, when you look at the channels in the Indian luggage industry, you'll realize that in 2017, only 2% of the entire sales came from online marketplaces like Flipkart, Amazon, etc. But this has basically shot up from 2% to 14% in just a couple of years. And in 2020, it reached almost 14-15% versus an offline was at around 85%. On top of this, if you really look at this segment, these three players are building generic products for their consumers because their main thing is how can we reach to the millions of customers, because they're at such a massive scale, they realize that they can't really only target the top cream of the crowd. So their luggage is kind of generic, but they sell it. So for example, Safari sells their luggage at a price range of 2 to 3,000. Now, amongst all of these things, right? All these three companies are missing one important fact, that the top of the pyramid customers, which is the Indian Mexico, according to the Bloom report, this is the cream of the cream crowd, earning more than $15,000 of average annual income, and they primarily are located in the tier 1 city, right? This is the segment that Blinkit is trying to capture. This is the segment that players like Cred are trying to capture. These are the customers that will give you the best output for your performance marketing, for any kind of business that you run. These are the customers that you need to target. But unfortunately, these three brands, because of their generic designs, are not able to appeal to these new customers. So as a result, Mokobara becomes this new brand, which essentially these customers trust and these customers like because of their design, because of their utility, because they're sustainable in nature. And finally, their primary focus is online marketplaces, but they're slowly opening up offline stores in tier 1 cities as well. Now, when you're targeting this top cream crowd, you'll realize that there are two things which are extremely important. The first is that you need to be in an affordable luxury market, which essentially means that you can't price your product too high, which means you can't price it from 2 to 3,000 to say 20, 30, 40,000, right? But you can charge a premium, which is in the range of 8 to 10,000. And this is exactly the ASP that Mokobara has. Another thing that you need to understand is that your product doesn't need to just solve one thing, and that is keeping your things inside the bag, right? It has to be more. It has to give more, along with giving users style as well, right? So, in terms of utility, what Mokobara has done beautifully is have these laptop compartments from which you can easily take out your laptop. And because they're targeting the cream audience, they realize that these are people who are essentially carrying their laptop everywhere, right? And they also have built-in charging ports and all of these things, which makes their bag not only just a functional thing, but it also solves for a utility. Now from here, I think we can go into their marketing side of strategy and how they've been able to get to these top of the cream crowd.
Absolutely. And interestingly, one of the taglines of Mokobara is hashtag going places. Mokobara's strategy in marketing, at least their products, has been split into two primary categories. One being luggage, which is again all their cabin bags and all the bags that are again for people who are taking a trip and traveling around. And the second being their traditional backpacks. I think the transit bag is one of their more famous bags currently sort of trending. Right now,
Correct.
interesting thing here is I actually did not know Mokobara is more of a luggage brand. I thought it's more of a backpack brand, right? And one of the co-founders, Sangeet Agarwal, actually mentioned this in one of these interviews, where he said that not much innovation has happened in this category, in the luggage category, and the fact that there is a set of consumers who have transitioned from Bata shoes to Reebok, Nike, and now are even wearing brands like Onitsuka Tiger, right? Very high-end brands, right? And we have seen that kind of trend in the shoe business, but have you realized that that trend never appeared in the luxury, affordable luxury travel, sort of brands, right? There's so much saturation among the whole luggage brand market, like Samsonite, Wildcraft, Safari. All these brands are, kind of known, but there is not a player making a big dent on the industry, and that's what Mokobara is trying to kind of capture, right? So that's one of the interesting things. In fact, there was this report in February by a leading investment banking firm, which said that in the Indian luggage industry sales have actually shot up by 50 to 70% in 22 as compared to pre-COVID, which is 2019, right? And historically, it's been the best year for growth in this category. So we can clearly see why Mokobara has been able to scale literally 8x in a span of just 2-3 years. From I think 10-12 CR it was doing in its first or second year of business. Now it's at 200, almost 100 to 200 CR, right? That's pretty insane. And the second thing is obviously they're also targeting the whole backpack market, right? Where let's say people like me and you, office, travelers, want to wear something stylish. Probably people having a higher disposable income want to take a bag that people know well, right?
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, why, and that this is why I actually told Rakshit the other day that what, we have to do this episode of Mokobara, because there was this day in the office where I came and five different people, these were people in tech and product, had like a Mokobara bag, and I was pretty astonished because historically I've never seen a bag brand become so sort of popular among just a small office group, right? It's just a small office group of people, right? So I think that's how I came across Mokobara, and I was like, these guys are doing something different.
I think one thing to note over here, which is happening across all D2C brands, is a concept called brand fatigue. Do you know about it?
I think you should educate me on it.
The concept is given by a VC firm called Sol.vc. They are actually an investor in Mokobara, XYXX, and Hoko ice cream, and a bunch of these amazing D2C brands. Now, the thing that they talk about is the fact that there is a growing fatigue amongst the traditional brands like Jockey, Quality Walls for ice cream, Jockey for underwear, etc. And that is because these new customers, age between let's say 22, 23 to 35, 40, these customers are just bored by these brands and they want to try something on. They don't want to use the same brands that their parents used and are willing to spend a little bit more money to get that extra brand and to sort of stand out. This is where D2C companies like XYXX have been able to really perform well. Mokobara has been performing well. Hoko Ice Cream has just done approximately 100 crores in 1 year, which is unheard of. It's because these traditional brands don't want to innovate because they don't want that cash cow to essentially go away, right? So really great space for these D2C brands to come in and disrupt the traditional
You're
companies.
completely on point, and this is like a perfect transition into the sort of next point which I have, which is bringing me like to the first strategy that Mokobara has adopted to sort of grow its sort of user base. Now, a very interesting thing that most people miss about Mokobara is that their portfolio of products is very limited. Just about 40 or 50 or so, if you actually check their website. Now, let me explain the psychology behind this. Whether this is a strategy or not, it could be debated, but I think I'm very clear about one point. So let's say you see these bags from, let's say, Wildcraft, right? I have a Wildcraft bag for for my own self, but there are all these different colors every year. There's a new edition coming out, new version. The product team is sitting at behind the scenes, and they're like, innovate, 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 keep bringing out some new variations. We want novelty for the consumers, and that's why you'd see SKUs of bags for Wildcraft and Samsonite and all these people run into like thousands of products, right? Just by schemes and features and all. Now, what's interesting is that Moko only has about 4 to 5 different major categories in their luggage and backpack area, and all of them just have about 3 to 5 products listed, right, with this different color schemes and all. So
Yeah.
my point is that because of this limited amount of products, right, they've been able to generate a lot of recall. Let me give you another example. Now, it's not just about the limited product, stable. It's also about the fact that their design and their sort of the overall product design is very minimalistic and has a very specific color scheme. Like, for example, I saw that the cabin luggage, the transit bag, etc., they have this yellow strip around the zip of the bag, which automatically gives me recall value, saying that, oh, this is a Mokobara bag. I don't know if you've had that same thing.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
how I saw the
Yeah,
same thing
yeah,
in my
yeah.
office. I've seen the same thing with their bags. And it's become like a status and a fashion symbol in some sense.
So if you think about it, even if you don't know Mokobara, because the luggage industry or the bags are so commoditized and look so similar, it's very easy for a brand like Mokobara to just stand out. So when I first saw a Mokobara bag in my office, I was like, even though I did not know the brand, it instantly stood out, right? And I was like, yeah, this is a different bag, or this bag looks interesting. And then I asked my friend, and I asked him what's the name of this company, and then he told me Mokobara. And the good thing about this category is here you have to take your backpack out. So if you go to, let's say, an airport, and if you have a bag that stands out, instantly people will look into it, and you'll get a lot of eyeballs for your product instantaneously, just because of the nature of this industry.
Absolutely. And again, it's a status symbol, like an Apple product, right? Or like an Apple Watch. Just a very clear status symbol. Another interesting thing, now that you mentioned that, is that a lot of the brands I was looking through in the bag space, right? They have these ads, at least on Meta, where they'll do like we've introduced this X edition, right? And they'll show a variety of the bags, right? Or we have introduced this collection of bags. It's all like different bags. However, on Mokobara's Meta ads, right, you see only one bag, right? It advertises only one single bag with one single color scheme, again and again rotating it back to the consumers, where after some time they're like, acha yaar, ye bag maine 1000 baar dekh liya hai, and now I saw this in real life. Something is happening
Yeah.
here, right? Just some curiosity building. So
Yeah.
I believe that if you are
For
building
sure.
a premium brand, some amount of the whole scarcity bias, or you could say the fact that just having a limited portfolio of products, it can create a very high amount of recall, and that to focusing advertising on repeatedly hitting consumers with the same product instead of having something new sent around every time. It's a
Yeah.
very smart thing if you actually think about it.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
one thing they've done very well. Now, coming to point number 2, which is their whole targeted advertising strategy. Now, as a D2C brand, I personally have not worked on D2C brand, so we had to speak to one of the people in Mokobara's team. So they told us that again, Google, Meta, and Amazon, they seem to be the key areas where sort of Mokobara is sort of spending their money, and it seems pretty obvious, right? But I would say something that did stand out for me was the fact that Google, Meta are obvious, but Amazon, right? Because that's not a very heavily talked of platform to do advertising, right? How many times do we actually
True,
say performance
true,
marketing
true.
and we think, yeah, Amazon, right? Not a lot of times. But think of it this way.
Yeah.
Uh, Amazon as a platform, the intent, anybody who's approaching Amazon has a buy intent, right? For anybody who's in like marketing or
Yeah.
product, they know that anything that has buy intent has the highest sort of conversion rates, right? So the fact that it's a
Yeah.
transactional platform, right? And I was actually speaking to one of the performance marketing people I know, and he told me that, you know what, Amazon is an absolute gold mine for PPC advertising if your brand is like a standout product, right? If your brand is well known, if it's a high quality product, if you can get a lot of ratings, right? It is a brilliant platform, and I'll tell you why. Because of the amount of targeting you can actually do, right? Because on Google, Meta, other
Yeah.
platforms, you could probably target things like income, location, keywords, stuff like that. But on Amazon, because the transactional
Yeah.
value is so high, you can actually target things like ratings, like direct competitors, price ranges, right? I just want to, particularly
Yeah.
find this price. So again, very interesting. In
Yeah.
fact, I didn't know this, but Amazon is actually trailing right behind Google and Meta in the Indian advertising space. So Amazon is currently at 5,000 crores advertising revenue versus Meta at 18,000 crores and Google at 28,000 crores. So trailing right behind. A very new, a very interesting platform for any D2C brand to explore.
I see that trend happening across all marketplaces platform, right? If you look at Zomato, right? One of its big bets in its marketplace business is in its food delivery business is advertising for restaurants. Because if you think about it, Google can give you that broad, or Facebook can give you that broad level of audience. But when you have a limited set of budget, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lakhs, you can't spend it. If you spend it on, let's say, Google or Facebook, you can't generate
Correct.
sales. But if you spend it on marketplaces where your consumers are, right? And as these platforms are becoming big, you don't really need Google and Facebook, right? You just need to advertise. You just need to have a good advertising strategy in these marketplaces, which is why Zomato, Blinkit, everyone is just focusing on advertising as a source of revenue. On top of that, I don't know if you know this, but a couple of months back, reportedly, even Apple is going big on the whole advertising space. And the head of advertising is, I think, one or two levels down, Tim Cook, which means even Tim Cook, in the minds of Tim Cook, it's like free money that he can get from apps and all of these things. So this is the advantage of being a marketplace platform and a point of purchase.
You're absolutely right. In fact, there's also, like you mentioned, brand fatigue. There's also like an emerging advertising platform fatigue, right? Because the players like Google and Meta have had so much dominance that increasingly players are looking for better platforms to target their consumers better, right? Like in the initial days, you'd only
Yeah.
have these platforms to target even, just basic amounts of D2C advertising. But now you have so many platforms
Yeah.
with different targeting options. Like iOS users are the cream of the cream crowd, right? If I'm a premium
Yeah.
brand, I
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
probably just attack iOS users in every way possible. Again, a great base for Apple
Absolutely.
advertising to come in, right? And this brings me to
Yeah.
point number two, which is strategic partnerships. Now, they've also worked with the likes of Myntra, Nykaa to advertise. Mokobara has worked with these people to sort of advertise their brand, because it's also kind of a fashion brand. It's not just a regular bag. It's not like that, right? But what stood out for me is, I don't know if you remember this, just maybe a week or two back, we actually saw this massive LinkedIn post coming up from Bilden Dinsa, Blinkit's co-founder, right? On how Mokobara and Blinkit have kind of partnered together. Now, yes, you could say
Yeah.
that, yeah, they have just done a partnership, so what's the big deal? But the interesting thing here is that any partnership with a platform like Blinkit is not just a partnership. It's an entire marketing campaign by itself. Let me explain. Now, there was this one post I came across, and we'll probably put up a screenshot here, where there are almost 7,000 likes on a LinkedIn post talking about a person buying Mokobara bag from Blinkit within 10 minutes. 7,000 likes on
Yeah.
a platform where bags are never advertised. Nobody says that, hey, I bought this bag, and
Yeah.
that never happens, right? I've never seen that happening. Same happens with Twitter and other platforms. So the fact is that, and that's not just it. They also now Albinder, tweeted it out, posted on his platform, posted on his LinkedIn. Blinkit X Moko had a collaboration on Instagram and got like some 4-5 thousand likes. So it is a holistic campaign all by itself. I mean, the amount of reach you're getting just by partnering with Blinkit. And in case some of you guys are wanting to know Blinkit strategy, we've actually covered that in a video. We'll leave that in the description box, so make sure you check it out. It's one of our most popular videos till date.
Another interesting thing to note apart from the marketing angle of thing is that for Mokobara, Blinkit is the platform to be at, and I'll tell you two reasons for it. Right, number one is that Blinkit is slowly, at least for the tier one crowd, is becoming a replacement for Amazon and Flipkart. What I mean by that is that you don't, as a tier one consumer, you're willing to pay that extra. First of all, you have the capacity to pay extra, and second, you have the and because you're getting it faster, it becomes more convenient for you. And because they're already only targeting the tier one $15,000 plus income individual, you realize that both Mokobara and Blinkit have the same consumer base, and you can just quickly deliver your products faster to the consumer, right? And if I don't know if you had gone through the product catalog that was on Blinkit, you'll realize that Mokobara is just selling their backpacks on LinkedIn and not their luggage. For them, the backpack is kind of like a top of the funnel product, which is slightly cheaper. More you use that more, so you're more likely to buy that from Blinkit, right? So it can just be a 5 to 6K bag which you buy it from Blinkit. And slowly, when someone wants to buy their big products, which is 8 to 10K ka ASP, which is their luggage bag, because you've been able to reach to that consumer, now you're opening up a massive amount of base of tier 1 customers to come, so that they can come and buy your bags from your website or Amazon and Flipkart. So it's just a way to open up their top of the funnel. Also, on top of that, I think the most important thing about Blinkit is that unlike Amazon and Flipkart, which have like tons, almost like 10,000 plus listing of bags of all sizes, there's a lot of competition already on that platform. But as for Blinkit, there is literally no competition, right? There is just, I think Safari is in Blinkit, but apart from that, it was just Mokobara, right? So lack of competition plus the same consumer base plus delivery in 10 minutes. So total convenience. It's just a platform that really works for them.
Coming to the third point, which is their marketing campaigns. Now, I remember we were having this discussion with one of the people at Moko, and you guys mentioned the Indigo campaign, and I was like awestruck because I hadn't heard of this. I was like, Indigo campaign? What do you guys mean, Indigo campaign? Now, the interesting thing here is, for people who don't know this, Mokobara actually released a collaboration bag with Indigo, right? Indigo, I mean the air carrier. Now, on first glance, this seems rather odd. Like, why would you partner with an air carrier to release a bag? Because there's not a lot of people who have done this kind of level of partnership, right? But
Yeah.
if you think of it this way, what is India's largest air carrier at this point in time? I don't know if you know this, Rakshit.
It's Indigo.
It's Indigo, right? And basically, what Moko has done is that they want to stand out, right? They want to show themselves as a luggage luxury brand like nothing else in the market. So what they do is something offbeat, right? They take it completely a level up, right? They're like, you know what? I'm going to target the heart of this whole thing by partnering with the largest air carrier in India, which is Indigo, right? So what better way than
Yeah.
to kind of partner with them and probably build a product? Not just that, right? I think we were also discussing this behind the scenes, that Indigo actually offers a 2 kg extra baggage allowance if you actually
Yeah.
buy and buy this Moko 6E product and you fly Indigo. Another very luring and tempting sort of proposition, right? I think I would be totally up for sort of
Yeah.
buying it and using Indigo to get that extra luggage, because that weight problem has always been a consumer pain point.
And think about it from a brag-worthy perspective, right? When you're traveling with someone, you'll say ki, okay, I don't have to worry about weight because I have 2 kgs extra. It suddenly gives that delta 4 effect, and tells the people that I'm of a higher status than you because I have this Mokobara bag. Exactly what they're trying
Yes.
to do, and exactly the amount of recall that they want people to have about their
Correct.
product, right? I think I've seen a lot of strategic partnerships happening in the tech world, with Instagram and Spotify, which is a very common and a very great example of both the products working seamlessly. But the thing is that it's very difficult. In case of a tech company, it is easy to do that because you just have to integrate one API or a couple of APIs. So it takes maybe 2 3 months, 4 months of development, right? But here, if you think about it, it is completely operational. It's really hard to do this kind of a campaign for a D2C brand with at such a scale, with which Indigo already operates, right? With two offline companies, it's I have not seen that happening globally, personally, right? So massive shout out to Mokobara team for pulling this off, and I would like to see more D2C companies doing these kinds of collaborations and giving benefits to the
I think
consumer.
I've seen a lot of companies. See, there's a fine line of difference between doing something offbeat for the sake of it and doing something offbeat that actually has some meaning, right? Like a lot of people just do
Yeah.
some random campaigns and they're like, yeah, this is how we measure it, and oh, it totally makes sense, just to seem cool, right? Like a lot of this moment marketing, right? You see brands hop on trends, and see, the point is that it depends on your objective, right? If your objective is to, let's say, scale, let's say Luggage in the case of Moko, they have attacked, let's say, the heart of the whole air carrier market with Indigo, and actually
Yeah.
built a massive campaign around this. And they've actually even partnered with multiple lifestyle influencers, and we probably put up some screenshots here, getting like thousands of likes and massive amount of impressions. Very targeted. Again, as you said, it was focused on one bag, right? It is not an addition of 10 bags, it's just
Yeah.
one bag being advertised again and again to promote top of the mind recall. So very smart campaign overall. I think with
Yeah.
that said, that'll be a very a wrap on today's episode. A very crisp episode that we've had today, and I think my personal takeaways would be just a few. Right, one is, as I said again, for the final time. Always, I mean, if you're a D2C brand, it'll be really useful if you can create top of the mind recall. Mogo has done it in their way, focusing on product led advertising instead of just a generic advertising of their brand and logos. And the second being, using massive really good partnerships with the likes of, let's say, up and coming platforms like Blinkit, Nika, Mintra, those kind of places, right? So I think these would be my 2 or 3 very important takeaways. Yes. So with that said, that's all from us today. We run a very interesting WhatsApp community called the Perspectify community, where we discuss a lot of things daily in the marketing, growth, product world. So make sure you check it out. The link will be in the description box. With that said, that's both of us signing off for today. Take care. Have a good day. See you.
Yeah, we're on.